it's just an example. Purdue losing to Fresno State is okay. We can still win the Big Ten West. But me,
Billy Napier gets fired. I'm just kidding.
hey, really the best time of the year. I will be seated watching the Red Zone for 7 hours on Sunday. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to an episode of Backyard Banter. Johnny, James, Tanner. Even though it's July, a lot of stuff going on. NBA free agency, the college football video game comes out in a few weeks. A bunch of leaks have come out for that. The Major League Baseball is almost at the All-Star break, and college football is right around the corner. But we're going to start with what's been dominating kind of the space. First, Steven Stamkos is no longer a member of the Lightning. I almost shed tears when that happened. But more importantly, what's more mainstream, NBA free agency. So I'm going to ask you guys, I guess it can be a two-parter. What was your guys' favorite signing, and what was your guys' what do you think will be the most impactful signing for the new team? James, you can go first.
You know, it's like, so as a Bulls fan, obviously, it's like we look at a team who kind of started it like when the Giddey, honestly, I kind of forgot free agency was coming up. Actually, I'm on my phone and Josh Giddey's a Bull, and I'm like, oh shoot, I guess all right, here we go. Like let's get it going. And so as a Bulls fan, there's nothing too crazy to be happy about. You get Patrick Williams back, paid him a little bit too much money in my opinion, but whatever. It's like 90 million for us is like exponential amounts of money, right? And hopefully one day maybe we make a lot of money. But it's like when you see 90 million going to a guy who averages 10 points in the league, it's like, dang. Like for me, that's like whatever. We get Teaster's beloved Jalen Smith. So it's like, maybe the Bulls maybe there's another move we're trying to make. But for me, it has to be Paul George. I think it has to be him. I think it's a safe answer. But now I look at the Sixers team and I'm like, why not them coming out of the East? Because we know how hard it is to go back to back. And obviously Boston's going to remain the favorite, especially after paying Tatum a bag. So shout out to Tatum, by the way. We talked a lot about Tatum. Way to go get a bag. I mean, talk about getting 60 plus a year. But you look at the Sixers team and it's like they have obviously a ton of talent. And then they go out and they get, they extend Tyrese Maxey. Kelly Oubre comes back, right? And then you go get Paul George and it's like, okay, this team's ready to win and they're ready to be the team out of the East. And for me, they're a team that I've always had a question mark to because they've always had talent. When you have Embiid, who's up for MVP every year, it's like, why not them coming out of the East? And so a little disappointing for their, level of play last year. So obviously it's a tough place to make a prediction considering it is July 2nd. But the Sixers are a team to not mess with coming out of the East. I actually looked on FanDuel this morning to see what their odds were to win the East, and obviously they're still the second horse out of the East, but plus 450 is pretty solid. I don't know where that line was earlier before the PG signing, but for me it's the Sixers. For me it's the Paul George signing. So shout out to the Sixers. So.
Yeah, I think for me, I kind of agree with you in like just a little bit with the Paul George signing. I like it for them. Still have a lot of question marks for me in terms of the Sixers. The East is better than people think. The East is going to be a lot better next year than it was this year. There's still some teams like the Knicks, Pacers, Bucks that I would have in the same tier with the Sixers, and then I would have the Celtics above them. So I think they join that second tier with some of those teams. But my favorite signing and acquisition of the offseason so far has been Isaiah Hartenstein going to the Oklahoma City Thunder. This is a Thunder team that's going to probably make the NBA Finals within the next 2 to 3 years. And I think that Hartenstein signing kind of speeds that up a little bit. I think he's going to fit perfectly into this Thunder rotation. Him and Chet down low, like Chet can play outside on the perimeter offensively, and then defensively, it's like you got Chet, who's a great defender, can block shots, and you got Hartenstein, who's going to literally be a vacuum down low and just grab every rebound. He is probably the most underrated player from that Knicks team a year ago, and now he goes to a great young team that really needed a player like him. He's just kind of that glue guy. I'm very excited for the Oklahoma City Thunder. In my opinion, that signing for me has the Thunder as my pick to win the West as of now. next year. So excited for that. Also, would like just to talk draft real quick. I think Rob Dillingham to the Timberwolves was an unbelievable pickup for them. And then just real quick, I thought the Spurs also put together a pretty nice draft. But other than that, that's just kind of my thoughts so far. The Pacers actually just signed James Wiseman,
Yeah, they
which
did.
I like a lot because he doesn't even have to play. Like as of now, he'd be the third string center, and that's a guy that if he does need to play off the bench because of injury, like he's probably going to fit in pretty well with really good playmakers and Tyrese Halliburton and Nimhard and McConnell. Like I think Wiseman, when he is needed to play, is going to be productive, and I like that move for the Pacers.
Yeah. Former number 2 overall pick, James Wiseman. By the way, just to piggyback off your guys' two real quick. Paul George to the Sixers, like it's fun. They gave him a bunch of money, and Paul George, I didn't realize. I thought he was like 31. He's 34. He's old. And that team, I mean, I would heavily bet against them to not stay healthy. It's just in the track record. We saw it with Kawhi and Paul George and the Clippers. And speaking of the Clippers, I don't know what they're doing. They re-signed James Harden to a bunch of money. Then they go out and get Derrick Jones Jr., which is honestly a great value sign. They got him 3 years, 30 million. That's great value for Derrick Jones Jr. for what he did for Dallas last year. And Dallas replaces him by getting Najee Marshall. I didn't even know Najee Marshall was in the league like that, to be completely honest with you. And then for Isaiah Hartenstein, they gave him so much money. I mean, they gave him that's 3 years, 89 million. That's a little too rich for my blood for Isaiah Hartenstein, but the Thunder have the cap space, and they don't really got to start paying Jalen Williams and Chet just yet. But how effective is he going to be in a playoff series? We see it too often where centers like that get played off the floor because they can't shoot. Like he was great in the Pacer series because he was so effective as a rebounder. I think in the West it's a little bit of a different animal when you get to playing a Jokic or not even a Jokic because he could stay in then. But for example, you play the I'm blanking because the Timberwolves, he can stay in there.
Yeah.
Regardless, we've seen it too often. One would come to my head. Like, for example, if the Suns go 5 out and go small and put Katie at the 5, then you can't play Isaiah Hartenstein. I'm not saying the Suns are going to be good next year, but I'm saying that could be a potential limitation for signing someone for almost 30 million a year, which is just absurd money to me for Isaiah Hartenstein, in my opinion. My favorite signing was Clay to Dallas. Clay Thompson heads to Dallas, 3 years, 50 million. He took a lot less money, reportedly, and I knew it when it came out, but then it was reported he took a lot less money because I told James Orlando signed KCP for 3 years, 66 million. And I think Clay is maybe a tier or two above KCP. And they get him for 3 years, 50 million. Talk about a guy that just fits perfectly with Luka and Kyrie. Strong defender, even his older years, not as strong as he was in his prime, but Clay Thompson is the second best shooter I've ever seen. And he still has that ability, and his game is going to age like fine wine. And him being paired up with Luka and Kyrie is just going to be very fun to see. And I'm very happy that Dallas did not get complacent after making the finals like a lot of teams do. And they went out and they got better. So I really like that move from Dallas. Dallas is another team that could go smaller and play Isaiah Hartenstein out, whether it's, they still got Lively and Daniel Gafford. But yeah, I mean, free agency is just crazy. Like all the signings all come at once. Obviously, the Celtics re-signed Derek White, which they had to do, but man, the last year of that deal might be rough for Boston. Like they're really gonna have some implications financially soon in the second apron and third apron and whatnot. But I mean, their window is now, and they're capitalizing on it.
Yeah. Why not go back to back? It's like
Yeah, no, they're doing that. I do not have a problem at all with
yeah.
them re-signing their people, but I'm saying at the end of these deals, when if they re-sign Porzingis is up for a contract, he's going into the last year of his deal. So that's gonna be really interesting. Is he the one that they cut ties with? Because he's out to December. I don't know if you guys saw that report. He's getting surgery on that injury. He's out to December. And Tanner, I actually completely agree with you that the East is loaded. Even if you think about the Magic got better, the Pacers are gonna get better. And those were the 5 and 6 seeds in the East. And even teams like the Pistons can't possibly be worse than what they did last year. And they got Tobias Harris, who's a decent bet for those guys to, have. And then I don't think the
Tim
Hornets
Hardaway.
will be any
Like,
worse. You know
I
what I
mean,
mean? So it's like, so I think the East, that was nowhere near how good the West is. Also, CP3 to the Spurs, another underrated one, another guy that could kind of mentor Wemby a little bit. But yeah, one last point, maybe a hot take. I know this isn't technically free agency. I think the Knicks gave up way too much to get Mikal Bridges. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but
Yeah.
5 first-round picks right when it happened, I was like, oh, this is a great deal. They're going to get him, but 5 first-round picks. Oh my gosh.
It's tough to watch. The NBA trades frustrate me so much because, and I think I told Tanner this, I get so annoyed when I get a report from ESPN and they're like, "Oh, well, the next trade for Bridges." It's like, okay, they gave their 2052 first rounder, and they're also going to give like something like a box seat or something. Like the trades are
Yeah.
so stupid in the NBA that it's so frustrating. And then I hate when I see like the 3 team or the 4 team trades. It's like, why can't we just do like pick for picks,
Well,
player player?
whenever it's 3 or 4 teams, it's financial reasons to
But
try
it's
to get
just so
the
annoying.
top. Yeah, it is. But Tanner, I don't know. You nodded your head pretty aggressively. Yes. Do you think it was an overpay for Mikal Bridges? Because we haven't really talked about it in too much detail.
Yeah, well, I mean, you gotta take it with a grain of salt for me. Growing up a Pacer fan, I've always hated the Knicks. I always will hate the Knicks. In my eyes, the Pacers own the Knicks. That's how it's always been. I didn't like that for the Knicks. 5 first-round picks is a lot for Mikal Bridges, and then they re-sign OG and they lose someone who, like I said earlier, is a glue guy. I thought he was the glue of that team in Hartenstein, and I just don't like that for the Knicks. Can Randall stay healthy? I don't know. Can OG Anunoby stay healthy? I don't know. Can Mitchell Robinson stay healthy? I don't know. The
Okay.
Knicks, to me, like I feel like they got better, but at what expense? Because like their window, when you think about it, is maybe 2 to 3 years with Jalen Brunson, and I think they really hurt their future a lot after that window. And I'm not confident in them being able to get a championship in this window because of how good the East is. And so I'm kind of scratching my head a little bit at that. I think Michael Bridges is an upgrade. I think he's going to help them, but I don't think it's to the point to where it's 5 first-round picks, sell your future for now, because I just don't think they're good enough still in this 2 to 3 year window. I think a team like the Magic is going to be better than them by the end of it. I think the Pacers will be better than them. Who knows about the Sixers or the Celtics, how good they're still going to be. I just very confused about it for the Knicks, but we'll see. They're going to be competitive. I mean, the Knicks are always going to be competitive with how much money they have, and then you add in Tom Tibbs as just an aggressive head coach. So they're going to be good. I just don't know if I like the move for them in the long term.
Yeah, I agree with you, but God, they're going to guard people. I'll tell you
Yeah.
what, they're going to guard. OG and Mikal Bridges might be the best 2 perimeter defenders in the NBA. I mean, Mikal Bridges was top 3 in DPOY voting when he was with the Suns. But I agree, man. I mean, it's just so much. And shout out to the Nets for completely setting their future back on track, getting their picks back from the Rockets. By the way, the Rockets, I think, might be the worst ran franchise in the NBA for what they're trying to do right now. I mean, it is mind-boggling that they got the Suns picks to trade for Kevin Durant for a trade that may or may not happen. And they trade the Nets picks, who the Nets are going to be really bad next year. It's just mind blowing to me, the incompetency in the Rockets organization. Maybe Katie does request a trade and he goes to Houston and Houston wins the finals in 2 years. But I heavily doubt that'll happen. But I mean, the big winners there are the Nets. I mean, Mikal Bridges, I think, is a little bit overrated just from the media standpoint because he had a really good run when when he was with the Suns, and then when he got traded to the Nets, he had a really strong run during that stretch. And he's a really good player, but like I don't think he's a top 20 player. I would have to go down my list, but I mean he's probably in the 21 to 30 range, and giving up 5 first-round picks for that is mind-boggling in
He's
my
not 5 first-round picks good.
He's not. If you gave up 3, yeah, I could get
Okay.
behind that. But 5 is just,
Maybe,
Right.
oh my
maybe.
goodness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
terrible, but it is what
Yeah,
it
and
is.
and
It could work out for them. Like
Yeah, I'm saying, and if they go win a championship in year 2 of this, then
yeah,
it doesn't matter. Those picks do not matter. And like you said, Tanner, Mikal Bridges will absolutely help you go win a championship. But God, it's
well,
a lot of picks for
I
that.
view it as this: the Pacers gave up 3 first-round picks for Siakam, and like Siakam's a better player than Michael Bridges in my eyes. Like, am I wrong there? Like five
Okay,
first round picks is
Mikal
crazy.
Bridges. Yeah, it is. And I do think that I don't know if they're very similar, I will
yeah.
say.
I like
They're
the
very
comparison
similar.
between them
Mikal
two.
might yeah, Mikal might guard a little bit better, but yeah, but any other thoughts on free agency first I'm looking at my phone because DeMar to the Lakers is being rumored.
Yeah.
So DeMar is kind of the last big name that's still out there.
I got a question for you guys. It's a team that I mean, maybe they're fine with what they keep rolling out, but Denver, I mean, they haven't done a single
Shoot.
thing.
Yeah.
And so my question to you guys is there a move that they're about to make, or are they dissatisfied with keeping they're going to roll out the same product? Are they complacent with that, or are they gonna make a move late here?
I think it's two things. I think the first thing is one, they're in a tough spot with the cap space. Jamal Murray has a big contract. Michael Porter Jr. has one of the worst contracts in the NBA, in my opinion. Aaron Gordon is up there as well, with a bad contract, and then you
No,
got Joker,
Aaron
obviously.
Gordon's contract right now is really good, but he's due for a new contract
Yeah,
after this year.
yeah, they're in a tough spot with the cap, and they're still good enough to win an NBA championship. I'm not going to say here like they are still good enough in my eyes. So
I don't
I'm not
know.
shocked at that.
I would say they're good enough just because Jokic is that good, but man, I mean, they got all their picks to go make a move. But like, you look around, what move do you want to make? Like Trey Young is a guy that's being floated around as like the big trade guy this offseason. Like, you don't need Trey Young. You need a wing. You need Mikal Bridges. Like Denver needs Mikal Bridges. And you just look around on that perimeter. I mean, they just have no one that can guard outside of Aaron Gordon. Like Jamal Murray can't guard. Michael Porter Jr. can't guard me. And who's going to play that too? Christian Braun is going to slide into that too. Like he's the definition of a great role player. So I think their depth took a huge hit. But I mean, we'll see. Anytime Jokic is the best player in the NBA. Anytime, that's a great question, James. But anytime, you lose someone as valuable to them as KCP was, it's gonna sting a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, Johnny, I never got a chance to say this. I love the KCP pickup for the Magic. By the way, I think that's an excellent pickup for the Magic.
I agree it is too, but they gave him a lot of money. And I understand. I think the Magic just kind of freaked out because they had so much cap space. And once they realized they weren't getting Paul George or Klay Thompson, they were like, "Oh, we need to spend it." So they
Yeah.
go give ECP a whole bunch of money, and they signed Goga Badatsu, who didn't play last year, for 24 million. And then you re-sign Gary Harris, even though you have Jet Howard and Anthony Black in the wings, waiting in the wings. So yeah, I just think freaking Jeff Weltman freaked out with all this cap space and just felt like he needed to spend it. And granted, when the KCP contract is up, that's when the extensions for Suggs, Paulo, and Franz will start kicking in. But it's a lot of money for a guy that I think is going to regress here soon. I think he'll be good this year and next year, but I mean, no team option, no play. I mean, it's a straight up 3-year deal with a player option. So
Yeah.
it'll be fun for next year, but like, this move doesn't make the Magic championship contenders, which is unfortunate. You just got to bank.
The Magic just re-signed Wagner too.
They didn't.
Yeah, they
Not yet.
did. They just got him.
Oh, they just did?
Yeah, like 4 minutes ago. Woj, 2 year, 22 mil. So
For,
that's
for Mo, yeah, and that and,
well,
and it's just another guy. Like, why re-sign Mo when you re-sign Goga? And
right.
now you got Goga just going to be sitting there. Like, you're paying a guy not to play him. And I get, like, after these 3-year deals is when their cap dries up, because the extension for them kicks in. But yeah, I mean, just not making a lot of sense. Mo Wagner is one of the best backup centers in the league, so I very much wanted him back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it is a good signing, but a lot of confusing signings also. But
Kemba just
uh,
retired as well. So I mean, just
I
some
did see that. Yeah,
breaking
Kemba
news
just
back here.
retired. I thought he was already retired.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Yeah.
You're like, dang.
But I will say, Kemba's UConn run, one of the greatest runs ever, and
Oh, yeah.
then his step back against Pitt is the buzzer beater that I recreated most when I was a kid. That the cardiac Kemba shot, just legendary. That's a shot in the backyard where I would recreate like almost every day when I was a kid.
Facts.
So shout out
Facts.
to Kemba. But yeah, that's our NBA segment. I will say we do have a grid, and I know James was nervous for this grid. I will say, Tanner, you need a bounce back here. We're
Need
looking
it.
at you. You need a bounce back. As James, did you make me host?
Yes, sir.
There we go. As I will look to share my screen.
I walked out this morning and Johnny was making a grid. I said, "Oh boy, I've been hot lately. I can't make it an
Yes.
easy one, so I don't like reclaim my idiot status or something like that."
All right, can you guys see? Oh, that's my total drama.
There we go.
Oh boy.
I'm rewatching Total Drama, taking me back to my nostalgia. But
Okay.
okay, these are the most strikeouts since 2008. The active pitchers have their active team logo, but I'm not going to tell you which ones are active, because that'd make it too easy. So this should be easy. I don't think there's any difficult ones
No, we're flying through this.
on there. So you guys are only getting two strikes. So Tanner, we'll start with you.
The Rangers is probably gonna be Max Scherzer.
That is correct.
Yeah, I'll go
Okay.
Cardinals, Adam Wainwright.
Look at that. Good job, guys.
Yeah, we'll fly through this, T. We don't need
Astros
any
is gonna be
strikes.
Justin Verlander.
That is correct.
First Dodger there. We got Clayton Kershaw.
It's
We're gonna be spitting names before you can even highlight.
yeah.
Is the Brave Chris Sale?
It is. That was one of the active ones that obviously he's most remembered with the White Sox. When I think Chris Sale, I think White Sox. And obviously then Red Sox, but yeah, that is correct.
The other Dodger Royals is Zach Greinke.
Yes. I didn't look. That one was more of a layup because I didn't know what logo to put for Zach Greinke because he was memorable with a lot of teams. So
Well,
I s-
I would have put Dodgers, but with them being back to back, it helped me know which one was, which
all
one
right.
was who.
Well, I will say I think you guys got the most obvious ones out of the way. Maybe one more obvious one.
Yeah, the Giants is gonna be Madison Bumgarner.
That's correct.
I think the other obvious one is the Seattle Mariners. We have King Felix.
That's correct also.
Is the Yankee Garrett Cole?
It is. And I will say these three I think are the most difficult. Not that they're not well known, but just not in kind of the upper echelon of pitchers in MLB history.
Well, there's not another name. There's got to be John Lester for the Red Sox.
It is. And I thought that one would trip you guys up
Yeah.
because I was not putting the Cubs logo there.
Yeah.
Not putting the Cubs logo there is absolutely absurd to me.
It's criminal. It's
I,
criminal.
It
I,
is
I
criminal.
that when I went there, I was like, I'm going to try to trip you.
Okay. I can't blame you for that, but
These
for
are the
trying to
tough
make
ones for
it
me.
difficult. But I'm trying to think Phillies and Rays here. I've got a couple names in mind for the Phillies.
Me too.
If he's not active, it's Roy Halladay.
It is not Roy Halladay. Strike one. I was surprised when it was not Roy Halladay also.
Yeah.
So, okay. I'm gonna go with a Phillies pick myself. Is it Aaron Nola?
It is not.
Okay.
Can I ask if he's active or not?
He is not active.
Oh, I think I got it.
Well, I'm gonna go to the Rays then, who I also can't think of names. David Price, maybe for the Rays.
Is that your final guess?
Yeah.
That is correct.
Oh, he tried to trick us. Okay. The Phillies, I might strike out here, but I don't think. Okay. I think he just retired. Johnny,
I
I
can
can see a head nod here. Did he just retire? Is it
uh,
Cole Hamels?
What'd you say you glitched out?
Cole Hamels?
That is correct.
It's Cole. Okay.
Well,
I think
Hamels,
he
who I
just
did not
retired.
know played for the Cubs.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
He
And I think
retired.
he no hit the Cubs too.
Jeez.
He did.
Yeah. He did.
So, an
He
easy one
actually
there. Nice little bounce back.
Fun fact, Jake Arrieta from like early 2015 to early 2016, I think he only lost like 2 starts ever as a Cub.
Hmm.
And one of them was the game that Cole Hamels no hit the Cubs, and Arrieta gave up 1 run in like 8 innings that game.
Pretty
Wow.
good. We need him back. We need Jake Arrieta.
Yeah.
I don't think he could save the Cubs.
Yeah, probably not.
But speaking of the Cubs,
We might need the Lord, the Savior himself, to come down and say, "Hey, Tom Ricketts, this is what you got to do."
so I personally I keep up with every Cubs game, just seeing the score, just because of this. And every single time I look down, they lose. I'm not gonna lie.
They
I'm gonna
do.
get to the exact numbers. They're now 5 back of the wild card, and they're 3-7 in their last 10. That's what I look at here. And you have to sell at the deadline at this point if I'm the Cubs. I don't know what you guys think, but Cody Bellinger can get you a haul. And if you want to play PCA every day in the outfield, what's already doing, Seiya can get you a haul. Seiya Suzuki. You have depth in the outfield. I think if it keeps going how it's going, unless they make a run these last 2.5 weeks, I would ship out those two.
Yeah, I mean, I can go ahead and start us off. I'm all on board with selling. My concern is, and really this has been the problem with the Cubs the last 3 or 4 seasons, is I don't trust Jed Hoyer. I don't trust Jed Hoyer one bit to make any decision. So do I really want the Cubs to sell at the deadline when I know what Jed Hoyer is doing does not work? Because he refuses to spend money in free agency. He's trying to win through Moneyball and just can't. He just refuses to sign a big name free agent. He'd rather bring in a guy like Bellinger or Seiya on these 4-year, $80 million contracts for players that are at best above average. And that is the Cubs' problem, is they don't have a superstar. They have probably 6 guys who are above average. And then the other 3 spots of the field, Morel can't make a throw to third base and doesn't know how to put the ball in play. The catcher position, there can't be a team in the MLB that is worse at the catcher position than the Cubs.
The Tampa Bay Rays and the
Oh,
Cubs.
but Ben Rortved's hitting lately, so don't say that.
So for me, the problem with the Cubs is Jed Hoyer. So I don't know if I want them to sell because I don't trust him to make a decision. What I do know is if they don't make the playoffs, he's getting fired after the season. The only chance he doesn't get fired is the Cubs owner, Tom Ricketts, who also doesn't care about winning, just looks at Jed and is like, you're back, which could very well happen because Tom Ricketts also doesn't care about winning. It is criminal what the Cubs front office is doing. They are taking advantage of a loyal fan base that loves their team, loves Wrigley Field, loves going to the games, and they're just taking advantage of the fans. They're saying, you're going to be there no matter what, and we're going to make money off of you. So we're going to just not going to put a good product on the field because it doesn't matter. Our stadium's going to be full no matter what, which is what's frustrating for me. And that's about all I got to say right now. I haven't even watched the Cubs in like a week because the last thing I'm going to do as a frustrated Cubs fan is give this team any attention because that's exactly what Tom Ricketts and Jed Hoyer want, is they want the fans to just watch every game and be locked in and spend money and go to Wrigley Field when they don't care about winning. It's only the fans that care about winning. So as a result, I'm done caring. Couldn't tell you how they're playing last week. It sounds like they're playing pretty poorly. James, Johnny, I don't know if you have anything to say.
Oh yeah, I mean, it did you get it all out? Because that's my first question. Because
Yeah.
all right, so I watched the Cubs. It's a frustrating team, but it's not like this is new for us, T. Like pretty much our whole life, the Cubs have just been average, below average, and then we had a few good years, right? And that's we look back at those great years to think it was 8 years ago. We're like, holy cow, because we can all remember where we were and how the feeling was and whatever. But you look at this Cubs team, and I got an argument the other day with somebody who's not a Cubs fan, they're a White Sox fan, and they were like, well, why did you expect to be so good? And I guess it's true because what you said, Tanner, about they're playing the money ball, it makes sense, right? You look at this lineup, it's not full of superstars, right? You look at a Cody Bellinger who we kind of knew was going to have a down year compared to what he had last year. That's the track of his career, right? And so you look at that and you're like, whatever. The thing is, the starting pitching has been so good. That's my question. What is our record if we don't have this starting pitching? Because granted, most of our losses are coming within 1 run. In fact, we have easily the most 1 run losses in the MLB. I think we're over 20 probably. You bullpen losses, whatnot. But you look at the Cubs schedule this year, we have only won 2 NL Central series, 2 of them, the whole season, only 2 of them. And I think one of them was the first time we played Milwaukee, and once when we played Pittsburgh. Other than that, we've literally lost series. We just lost to the Brewers, right? We lost to the Reds. We lost to the Cardinals because the Cardinals are back. It is a frustrating team to watch. But my concern, and I was listening to the 670 The Score yesterday, what do we have to sell? Because sure, we can sell, but it's not like we have a ton of guys that are just lighting it up and other teams are calling and saying, yeah, we need this. We need that. We don't have a ton of guys that teams might be calling for, and that's the concern. So as a Cubs fan, my hope and my want, we said it several weeks ago because we had an easy schedule coming up. Well, that easy schedule now is gone. We have the Phillies now for 3. We play the Orioles soon, then we play St. Louis again. That easy schedule was gone when we missed that opportunity. Now you have an opportunity to fight, right? And just get back in a situation where there's a chance you can make the wild card, and then you don't have to sell your team that isn't full of sellers. Like, that's the frustrating thing. Our best players are people you're not going to sell, you're not going to trade, right? Like, you're not going to sell your starting pitchers. You're not going to sell Cody Bellinger. So the question is like, can the Cubs just get back in a position where they're within striking distance for that second half of ball? And Lord, I hope so, because I want to watch meaningful baseball in September. But it's like, this Cubs team is just incomplete right now. And so I agree with what you said about Jed Hoyer. I don't think the Cubs have the balls to fire him. I'll just be flat out. I don't think we'll fire him. I don't think we'll do it because of his signings of Seiya and Shota Imanaga and all those. I think those 2 signings alone keep him, unfortunately, for one more year in Chicago. So I'll be interested to see if Johnny has an opinion on this, but I need the Cubs to come back. I need these next few weeks for the Cubs to get within 5 like games, like hopefully 5 games within 500, right? Is that crazy to ask for? Like, we're not too far from the wild card. We have the Angels, beatable teams in there. So, and they're good enough. They're good enough to beat the Phillies. They're good enough. They can beat the Orioles. Like, but it's like, by the way, I'm looking at ESPN here. The Tuesday evening first game for Baltimore projection is Imanaga versus Burns. So that looks unreal. But I'll be interested to see what Johnny thinks about the Cubs and if they have any moves to make. But
I mean, they're sitting right now, last place in the division. They're 7 games under. And well, they've been a putrid road team also, but 3-7 in their last 10. It's bad. I mean, I would sell
but
unless
who?
look, you got to the trade deadline. Someone would want Seiya Suzuki. Someone would want him. Someone would want Cody for the year. I think it's gonna be hard. I mean, they're not a top value, but yeah, I don't know what the Cubs do. You got to ride it out. They get the Phillies, they get the Angels, and they go to Baltimore and to St. Louis. So I mean, that's a pretty big stretch, but it'll be interesting to see what they do for sure. But yeah, the NL is crazy. I mean, they're behind the Nationals right now
Yeah.
in the wild card race, and it's
Yeah.
and it's tough. And the Rays, I feel like are so much more positive, but they're 4 back from the wild card. It's just how good the AL is. The Rays are 500. They've won 7 of their last 10. They've been playing really good ball. Taj Bradley, by the way, I don't know. I think it was you, James, that I told, is a stud. Yes, he is. He is a stud, and he's got top of the rotation stuff. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what to do with the Cubs, the Rays.
Oh, I forgot one thing. Jed Hoyer's biggest offseason acquisition, because I guess Imanaga was good. All right, congrats, Jed. That was a good signing. Not going to sit here and say it wasn't. But I don't consider Bellinger an offseason acquisition because he was on the team a year ago. He did nothing to get better. Their biggest move was Craig Counsell. And Craig Counsell is just like Jed Hoyer and Tom Ricketts. He's saying, I'm getting paid, so it doesn't matter what I do. He doesn't care about winning. Craig Counsell got his bag. He doesn't care about winning. So it's a shame that the top 3 people in the Cubs organization, Counsell, Hoyer, Ricketts, do not care about winning because they're getting paid and that's all that matters. And that's it. Final discussion on the Cubs.
Yeah, I mean, you guys were telling me that Council was a better manager than Kevin Cash, and I told you guys when he got hired that that was a
He
crazy
sure
take.
did seem like it. I mean, he seemed like it in Milwaukee. I guess.
No, it looks like it was just Milwaukee because Milwaukee's going right along right now. But yeah, interesting to see it. I love baseball though. I love watching the Rays every day. But I'm ready for football. As we continue to get closer, we've already previewed one conference. That episode will come out later this month, and we're going to keep previewing them. And it's very exciting because we've talked about it before. This is the most excited we've been for a football season in quite a long time. A lot of excitement with the Bears, obviously. A lot of excitement with the Bucks. The Bucks are gonna have a really good team this year. For me personally, Florida is getting my hopes up, which is really great. But they got a good team, man. I'll tell you what, their schedule, if they weren't playing the NFC East, their team, their schedule looked a lot better. But yeah, I mean, I think with this episode had a little bit of everything. We had Cubs ranting, we had good NBA free agency, and obviously James continues to be stellar on the grid. I'll tell you what. You told me before you were nervous, but you just stepped up in a big way.
That wasn't too bad. So
You have the next grid though, so you have the I decide to go easy. Tanner kind of went hard last time. You have the opportunity to make it as hard as you want.
I might
But
give you guys like 6 strikes and make it impossible.
I like
uh,
that.
Who knows?
but
Who knows?
that's all.
Tanner does need a redemption. He needs a
Yeah.
redemption.
Tanner was better in this one though.
He does.
But that's all we got today. We have a big guest coming on, not next week, but the week after to talk some college football with us. So stay tuned for that. If you guys made it to the end, leave a like, subscribe, send it to someone, and we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.